What would you do if you accidentally insulted a billionaire in front of half of New York City? Well, if you're me, you don't just lose your job, you lose your heart. I thought Liam Brooks was a robot in a $5,000 suit. I was wrong. Underneath that cold stare was a secret that could destroy his empire, and a passion that's about to turn my world upside down. This is the story of how my big mouth led me to the most dangerous love of my life. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. My name is Sarah Hayes, and if there was an Olympic gold medal for talking too much, I'd be standing on the podium with 3 of them. I'm authentic, I'm witty, and I have a sense of humor that usually keeps my friends in stitches. But that morning, my sense of humor was about to put a noose around my career. I was late. Balancing a double-shot espresso, 3 marketing reports, and my phone between my shoulder and cheek, I felt like a circus performer. And as usual, I was venting. I opened my phone to my work besties group chat. At least, that's what I thought I did. Guys, I am literally losing my mind. I can't take Liam Brooks anymore. I know, he's built like a Greek god who was sculpted by the hands of Zeus himself. That jawline could cut glass, and those suits cost more than my apartment. But honestly, he is the most arrogant, unbearable person on this planet. He doesn't walk, he struts like he owns the air we breathe. He's not a CEO. He's a hot corporate dictator with a heart made of high-grade industrial ice. Someone needs to tell him that being that handsome doesn't give you a license to be a jerk. Okay, end of rant. Love you guys, see you at lunch. I giggled to myself, feeling much better after letting it all out. I tapped send with a satisfying click and set my phone down to finally take a sip of my coffee. I waited for the laughing emojis. I waited for Chloe to text back, preach. But instead, there was silence. A silence so thick, you could hear a paperclip drop 3 floors away. I looked up. Every single head in the marketing department was turned toward me. My coworker, Mark, was halfway through a sip of coffee and literally sprayed it all over his monitor. He looked at me eyes wide and whispered, "Sarah, check the group name." My heart did a somersault and landed in my stomach. My fingers were shaking as I picked up the glowing screen. There it was. In bold letters. Global Team Announcements. 542 members. Voting. Liam Brooks. The CEO. Notifications started pouring in like a waterfall of doom. Oh snap. Is she fired yet? And then, the one that made my blood turn into liquid nitrogen. Liam Brooks, listened to your voice message. Oh my God, no. This is a dream. A very stylish, very expensive nightmare. Maybe I can delete it? No, it's been listened to. Maybe I can fake my own death? Move to Antarctica? Yes, Antarctica sounds nice this time of year. Before I could plan my escape to the South Pole, I heard it. The sound of polished Italian leather shoes hitting the marble floor. Click, clack, click, clack. It was the sound of the gallows. The whole room went silent. Even the printer seemed to stop breathing. And there he was. Liam Brooks. Tall, flawless, and wearing a gray suit that probably had its own security detail. He didn't look angry. He looked amused, which was 10 times scarier. Miss Hayes, it seems I have a reputation for being a corporate dictator. I'd hate to disappoint my fans. My office. Now. Walking behind him felt like being a prisoner of war. We entered his office. A massive space with a view of Manhattan that felt like looking down from Mount Olympus. He sat behind his mahogany desk, leaned back and folded his hands. So Sarah. A Greek god, was it? Arrogant? Unbearable? Mr. Brooks. Sir. That was a glitch in the matrix. A very unfortunate misunderstanding between my brain and my thumb. A misunderstanding? You were quite descriptive about my heart being made of ice. I've lived 32 years, and no one has ever had the vocal boldness to say that to my face, or to 500 of my employees. I'm so sorry. I'll pack my bags. I'll leave the building. I'll leave the state. Pack your bags. Oh, I have a much better idea. You see, I am currently looking for a new personal assistant. Someone who is authentic. And since you have so many opinions on how I run this company, you're going to help me run it. From now on, you're not in marketing. You're with me. Every meeting, every flight, every 6 a.m. coffee. We'll do it together. Is this a punishment? Let's call it a re-education. I want to see if this dictator can survive you and if you can survive being my shadow. Welcome to the inner circle, Miss Hayes. Try not to slouch. It's bad for the brand. I walked out of that office in a daze. I wasn't fired. I was promoted to hell. And as I saw Liam smirking through the glass wall, I realized this wasn't an office job anymore. This was a game. And I had a feeling the dictator was just getting started. I didn't sleep a wink. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Liam's smirking face and heard the ding of 500 people listening to my career suicide note. I arrived at the office at 7:55 a.m., 5 minutes early, clutching a triple-shot espresso like it was a holy relic. I tried to walk to my old cubicle in marketing, my safe space, but a security guard cleared his throat and pointed toward the top floor. The executive suite. The Lion's Denver. Great. From being the queen of the water cooler to being the court jester for the Greek god. I stepped into the elevator and as the doors closed, I caught my reflection. I looked like I was heading to my own funeral, but at least my eyeliner was sharp enough to kill a man. If I was going down, I was going down looking fabulous. The top floor was silent. No phones ringing, no gossip. Just the sound of money being made. My new desk was right outside Liam's glass-walled office. I barely sat down before the intercom buzzed. It was a sharp electronic sound that made me jump so hard I nearly baptized my keyboard with coffee. Miss Hayes, you're 4 minutes late to my personal schedule. My office. Now. I was actually early, Mr. Brooks. I was just calibrating my chair. Calibrating? Interesting choice of words for someone who spends 10 minutes staring at a bagel. Sit. We have the quarterly sales reports to review. These were prepared by your former department. He handed me a stack of papers. I started flipping through them, but I could feel his eyes on me. Not just looking but observing. Like a scientist watching a particularly loud lab rat. Stop. What? I'm on page 2. Is my breathing too loud for the dictator? Look at the top left corner of that document, Sarah. It's a staple? I'm pretty sure that's how papers stay together, sir. Unless you've invented a billionaire way to use telekinesis. It's crooked. It's at a 45-degree angle. In this office, details matter. A crooked staple suggests a crooked mind. It shows a lack of discipline. Restaple the entire stack. Straight. Vertical. Perfect. I wanted to scream. I wanted to take the stapler and see if it worked on his perfectly tailored suit. But instead I gave him my most authentic fake smile. You're actually serious. You're micromanaging my office supplies. Do you have a chart for the correct way to breathe too? Or perhaps a manual on the optimal blink frequency? I appreciate the sarcasm, Sarah. Keeps the air from getting too stale. But yes, I am serious. Everything you do now reflects on me. If your staples are messy, people think my assistant is messy. And I don't do messy. 2 hours later, we were in a high-stakes board meeting with investors from Tokyo. I was supposed to be taking notes, but I was mostly trying to stay awake. Liam was a machine. He rattled off numbers, projections, and strategies without even looking at his tablet. He was brilliant, I'll give him that. But he was also a hawk. Sit up straight, Sarah. Your back is slouched. You look like a question mark. I'm tired. Some of us don't have a recharge port in our necks, Ethan. I mean Mr. Brooks. Posture is power. If you slouch, the investors think we're weak. Straighten up. I sat up so fast I think I heard my spine crack. He looked at me and for a split second I saw a flash of a real smile. Not the cold toe smirk but something boyish? No, I was hallucinating from caffeine withdrawal. After this we have a lunch meeting at Le Bernardin. You'll be coming with me. Is that part of the re-education? Teaching me how to eat fancy lettuce? No. It's to see if you can keep that big mouth of yours shut when a $1 million deal is on the table. Think of it as a test, Miss Hayes. If you pass, maybe I'll let you keep your staples crooked for a day. Oh, I'll pass, Liam. But don't be surprised if I have a few authentic opinions about the appetizers. He stood up, buttoning his jacket in one smooth motion. As he walked past me, he leaned down and whispered into my ear, his breath warm against my skin. I'm counting on it. It's the only thing that's made this Monday interesting. He walked out, leaving me stunned. He wasn't just punishing me. He was playing with me. And the worst part? I was starting to enjoy the game. Lunch at Le Bernardin wasn't just lunch. It was a battlefield where the weapons were silver forks and the ammunition was passive-aggressive small talk. But before we could even leave the office, Liam decided to perform a security check on my outfit. We are meeting the Henderson Group, Sarah. They're old money. Very traditional. Very boring. Your current blazer looks like it was fighting a losing battle with a thrift store. Excuse me? This blazer is a classic. It's vintage chic, Liam. Not everyone can afford to have their clothes hand-stitched by Italian monks in the mountains. Hand-stitched monks? Your imagination is as vivid as your mouth is loud. Come with me. He didn't take me to the elevator. He took me to a private room behind his office. It was a walk-in closet that looked like a boutique. He pulled out a sleek, charcoal gray designer blazer. Put this on. It'll hide your vintage chic personality for an hour. The back of Liam's Maybach was unnervingly quiet. The scent of his cologne, something like sandalwood and expensive leather, filled the small space. I tried to look at the Manhattan traffic, but I could feel him watching me. Again. If you're waiting for me to thank you for the blazer, don't hold your breath. I'm only wearing it so I don't embarrass your dictator brand. I don't care about the brand right now, Sarah. I care about the deal. Mr. Henderson is a tough man. He thinks I'm too young, too cold. He wants to see that Black Tower has a soul. That's why you're there. Just be yourself. But a 20% quieter version of yourself. So I'm the soul for hire today? Is there a bonus for that or just more crooked staple duty? The bonus is that I might actually tell you your posture is improving. The lunch was going perfectly. Too perfectly. Mr. Henderson was impressed by the reports and I was actually keeping my mouth shut, nodding like a professional. But then Henderson started talking about his daughter's upcoming wedding and how he was firing the catering staff because they looked too poor for the venue. I felt the words bubbling up in my throat. I tried to swallow them with a bite of salmon, but they refused to stay down. Liam sensed it. I felt his hand suddenly grip mine under the table. It was a warning. A firm, warm squeeze that sent a jolt of electricity up my arm. Actually, Mr. Henderson, don't you think the quality of the food matters more than the bank account of the person serving it? Some of the hardest working people I know are the ones who don't have a trust fund. Excellence doesn't have a zip code. The table went silent. Liam's hand tightened on mine. I thought, well, that's it. I'm fired. I'll be selling that charcoal blazer on eBay by tonight. Mr. Henderson blinked, then let out a booming laugh. Finally, someone in this room who isn't a yes man. Liam, where did you find this girl? She's got more spine than your entire legal team. She's one of a kind, Arthur. That's why I keep her close. After the meeting, as we stood on the sidewalk waiting for the car, Liam finally let go of my hand. I felt the cold air hit my skin and I actually missed the warmth. I expected him to yell. I expected a lecture on operational efficiency. Okay, go ahead. Fire me. I insulted the client. I'm a disaster. Actually, you won him over. He signed the contract while you were in the restroom. He said he liked our authenticity. Wait, really? So, I saved the deal. You did. He stepped closer, reaching out to fix the collar of the blazer he'd given me. His fingers grazed my neck, and for a second the corporate dictator looked almost vulnerable. But don't let it go to your head. You still have 400 reports to staple. And Sarah, yeah, you were right. Excellence doesn't have a zip code. But it does have a very loud voice. He walked into the car, leaving me standing there with my heart racing like a runaway train. He wasn't just a Greek god in a suit. He was a man. A man who was currently holding my hand, even after he'd let go. Success has a price, and at Black Tower that price is usually paid in sleep deprivation. It was 11:30 p.m. The Manhattan skyline was a sea of shimmering lights. But inside the office, the air was thick with the hum of the air conditioner and the smell of stale coffee. Liam was still in his office, buried under a mountain of merger documents. And because I was his shadow, I was right there with him. I was exhausted. My eyes felt like they had sand in them. I looked over at Liam. He hadn't loosened his tie once in 14 hours. How did he do it? Was he actually a cyborg? I walked into his office, carrying 2 fresh mugs of coffee. If you don't stop looking at those numbers, your eyes are going to turn into dollar signs permanently. Drink this. It's black, bitter, and cold, just like your soul. You're getting better at this, Sarah. Your insults are becoming almost affectionate. He took a sip and sighed, leaning back in his chair. For the first time he looked human. The untouchable Sue had dark circles under his eyes. He looked like a man carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Liam, why do you do it? You have enough money to buy an island and never look at a staple again. Why stay here until midnight every night? Because if I stop, everything my father built falls apart. He wasn't like me, Sarah. He was a gambler. He left this company in debt. I've spent 10 years pretending to be a dictator, just to keep thousands of people from losing their jobs. If I'm not perfect, everyone loses. So the Greek god is actually an atlas holding up the sky. You don't have to do it alone, you know. The silence between us changed. It wasn't the silence of an office anymore. It was intimate. He looked at me, and for a second I thought he was going to say something, or do something. But then my phone buzzed. A news alert. Wait, what is this? I looked at the screen. My heart stopped. A major business blog had just posted a headline. Black Tower CEO's fake engagement scandal. Liam Brooks uses low-level employee to manipulate board members. Beneath the headline was a photo of us at the restaurant, and a copy of the re-education agreement Liam had made me sign. Where did they get this? Only 2 people had access to this file, Sarah. Me, and you. Liam, I swear. I don't even know how to hack into your secure server. The board is already calling me. They think I staged that lunch with Henderson. They think I'm a fraud. And the only person who could benefit from leaking this is a big mouth who wants a payout. You think I did this? After everything? After I defended you to Henderson? After I stayed here until midnight? I've spent 10 years learning that everyone has a price, Sarah. I thought you were authentic. I thought you were the one person who didn't play games. I guess I was wrong. You're not an atlas, Liam. You're just a coward. You're so afraid of being vulnerable that the moment things go wrong, you hide behind your cold desk and blame the easiest target. I didn't leak that file. But you know what? I'm glad it happened. Because now I see the Greek god is just a man with a very small heart. I grabbed my bag. I didn't cry. I waited until I was in the elevator to let the first tear fall. I had lost my job, but worse, I had lost the man I was starting to realize I loved. Back in the office, Liam sat in the dark. He looked at the crooked staple on the report I had left behind. He picked up the stapler, intending to fix it, but his hand stayed still. The office felt empty. The silence was no longer professional. It was deafening. He realized that for the first time in 10 years he didn't care about the board members or the merger. He cared that the girl with the big mouth was gone. What have I done? A week had passed. At Black Tower the air was cold, and not just because of the air conditioning. Liam Brooks was back to being the untouchable CEO, but he was a shadow of his former self. He stared at the empty desk outside his office every morning. No crooked staples. No witty insults. No spilled coffee. Just silence. I got what I wanted. The board cleared me after an internal investigation. They found the leak. It wasn't Sarah. It was Victoria, my rival who wanted to see me fall. She had planted a bug in my office months ago. I had accused the only person who actually cared about me. I wasn't a dictator, I was a fool. I was sitting in a tiny coffee shop in Brooklyn working on my portfolio, trying to forget that a certain billionaire existed. I told myself I was over him. I told myself I didn't miss his expensive cologne or his dry sense of humor. I was a liar. Wait. Why am I still in this group chat? I opened the app. My heart stopped. Liam had just sent a voice note to the entire company. All 542 members. My hand shook as I pressed play. Attention everyone. This is Liam Brooks. Last week I made a mistake. I accused a member of this team of a betrayal she didn't commit. I acted like the arrogant dictator you all whispered about. Sarah Hayes. If you're listening to this, your staples were never the problem. You were the only authentic thing in my life and I threw it away because I was too afraid to be a man instead of a CEO. I didn't think. I grabbed my bag and ran. I hailed a cab, screaming at the driver to get to Black Tower. When I arrived, the lobby was buzzing. Everyone was staring at their phones. I ran into the elevator and hit the top floor button. You sent a voice note to the whole company? Are you insane? Do you know how many HR violations that is? I figured if you could roast me in front of the whole team, I should apologize in front of them too. It's only fair. You're still a jerk, Liam. An arrogant, unbearable jerk. I know. But I'm a jerk who can't run a company, or a life, without the girl who tells him the truth. He stepped closer, silencing the whispers of the office. He reached into his pocket. My heart was racing. Was this another re-education contract? Sarah, I don't want a shadow. I don't want a fake fiancé. I want someone who will tell me when my tie is too tight and when my heart is getting too cold. I want it to be you. For real. Will you stay? Not because you have to, but because the Greek god is asking for help. On one condition. I get to keep the charcoal blazer. And you have to promise to let me be as loud as I want. I wouldn't have it any other way. He leaned in and kissed me right there in front of the glass walls, in front of the board members and in front of the entire marketing team who were undoubtedly filming the whole thing for the group chat. I used to think my big mouth would be the end of my career. But it turned out, it was just the beginning of my greatest adventure. Liam Brooks might be a billionaire and he might still check my staples from time to time. But he's my dictator. And I think I'm going to enjoy ruling this empire by his side. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. And remember, sometimes your biggest mistake is actually your greatest lead to love.